Hello, people. It's your boy Aswell back again with another Manchester United podcast. I do apologize, I'm slightly late, but nonetheless, as you can see from my very glowing tan, I've been out and about and just got home. So yeah, long story short, this is basically going to be a podcast of me venting essentially, and just getting stuff off my chest, really. Oh dear God, what is going on for Manchester United Football Club? As always, make sure if you are tuning in, you do slap a like on the video, and of course subscribe to the channel. My socials are on the screen. Get your comments in if you're tuning in live, and please do slap a like, as I've just said. But as I've already alluded to, this is very much going to be a stream of me just getting stuff off my chest, because there's a lot to talk about. I've been very busy with work. I've been here, there, and everywhere, so I've not really had an opportunity to do a podcast since the last one, which was with the lovely Alice. We will be touching upon the situation regarding sale, alongside transfers, rumours, that kind of thing. So we'll be covering a fair bit during this show, but make sure you do get yourself involved as much as you possibly can. I can't believe how much I'm bloody tanned. I just keep looking at myself thinking, what the hell is going on with my face? But nonetheless, the show must go on. First things first, as you can see from the title, Zidane Iqbal was sold yesterday for reportedly 845k or something on those lines, 850k. Essentially, 2 weeks' wage of David De Gea, give or take, depending on your maths. I mean, I, for one, am absolutely livid with the notion that Manchester United can't get more than 850k for a prospect that we've had at our academy since the age of 7. I mean, he's been involved in the academy since 7 years old. He's now 20. That's 13 years of his life. He's been a part of Manchester United Football Club setup, and you're telling me he hasn't even got an opportunity. And people will say he's had enough opportunities in the academy, etc. And you know, there's probably truth to that. You know, he's had opportunities to impress within the setup. But for me, the price tag is an absolute joke. I mean, farcical, laughable, disgraceful, whatever, you know, adjective you want to use to describe it. I just can't quite get my head around the fact that we would think that is, you know, suitable business on any front. I mean, look, by all means, I'm not going to sit here and claim he was the best. I'm not going to say he was good enough to start for the first team. But what I will say is he wasn't really given a fair crack of the whip. On the flip side, he wasn't really treated fairly, in my personal opinion. I mean, the fact that he wanted to go out in June on loan, January, that's just gone. He wanted a loan move, you know, to play some regular football, play week in, week out, that kind of stuff. And essentially that loan move was blocked either by Ten Hag or by the club. For whatever reason, I mean, from what I've heard through the grapevine, that was blocked because they wanted him to stay at the club to increase the intensity and quality in training, essentially saying we basically need you for training sessions to help the first team. You're not going to play. We just need you, and you're going to sacrifice a year of your life and your career to help us. But we're not going to develop you any further than this moment. We don't actually have any intention of keeping you past the summer, and we're just going to utilize you whilst we can, and then we're just going to get rid of you. I mean, I understand that the academy system in all over the UK is the same, in the sense that not every academy player is going to make it. Not every academy player is going to get the opportunity to play week in, week out and, you know, potentially show his craft. However, I do not understand the notion in which you keep players around and do not send them out on loan. Look at Chelsea, a great example. Yes, others may mock them, but Chelsea are fantastic at loaning out their players. Granted, not all of them make it at Chelsea Football Club, but nevertheless, you know, through other ventures of them being out on loan, you know, they essentially go for good money, if not at least decent money, and get opportunities that they've created down to the fact that they've done well on their loan. I mean, Amad Diallo, from a United perspective, is a great example. He went on loan at Rangers and then essentially he flopped. To cut a long story short, he wasn't good at Rangers, and then he found another loan at Sunderland, and he's excelled. Granted, the Championship, it's not the Premier League, but nevertheless, he's had another opportunity to show out on loan that he is capable of playing for Manchester United. What has been the situation for Zidane Iqbal? He's just been sat on the bench doing absolutely nothing, or not. Sometimes not even on the bench, just training with the first team, and he's not had the opportunity to go on loan. He wanted to go on loan to, you know, further his career, and they said no, you're going to stay at Manchester United. And then they didn't allow him to go on international duty, and then they've just sold him for 850k. I mean, it doesn't even make sense to me. I mean, something probably did happen behind closed doors between him and the manager. Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of that scenario, but it just reeks. I mean, and this isn't even just about Zidane. Obviously, Gomez for me as well got mistreated as well during his time at United. I mean, I just think it's a running issue within the United structure, and it's something that definitely needs to be rectified moving forward. This is no way for us to be dealing with academy players. And granted, they're not all going to make it. Granted, they deserve to be sold. But you're telling me that you're not going to let them go out on loan and then not play them. I mean, if you're not going to let them go out on loan, at least play them in the first team, or at least give them Carabao Cup games, FA Cup, Europa League, whatever it may be. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, as for everything else, I'm just a bit disappointed. I mean, you know, for me, I thought he had enough ability to at least get a chance. Obviously, what do I know? I'm not there seeing him week in, week out. Understand that that's probably what most of you are going to say. But no, I just think it's just disappointing. I'm extremely disappointed. If I recorded this when I found out the news, I would have been a different podcast because I was fuming at the time. Obviously, I've calmed down since then, but I just think the overarching sort of feeling is of disappointment. Yeah, Mustin in the chat said the sale was criminal, utterly disgraceful. Absolutely agree. And the bad boys obviously not my United fans saying Glazers families in the plan to keep going. Oh my god. And that leads us on nicely to the topic of the podcast. What is going on at Manchester United Football Club? That is essentially the topic. I mean, the truth of the matter is absolutely nothing in terms of moving the club forward. I mean, it's an absolute shit show to say the least. What can you actually say? I mean, there's a lot of speculation regarding the sale happening, you know, this week, next week. It's just the same story each and every week. Oh, it's going to happen this week. It never happens. It's going to happen today. It's going to happen tomorrow. Blah 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 blah, and it just never happens. I mean, it does seem more likely that Sheikh Jassim is going to take over, which of course is the only positive of this whole saga, debacle, whatever you want to call it. I mean, that would be a massive, massive plus. But imagine we've gone through all this for, you know, Ratcliffe to win it. I would actually lose my head. Not only are they taking the absolute piss in the time in which to get the deal done, but we've got the worst possible owner. So I would absolutely be fuming in that scenario. But I'm not going to focus on that. I do think Sheikh Jassim is the more likely. I mean, the credible journalists are coming out and reporting that. So for me, I'm going to, you know, stay true to that. But yeah, just this whole situation is an absolute piss take. I mean, they've been doing this since February. I mean, it should have been done before the season was finished. I mean, what else are they doing? Their owners. I mean, it's just a joke. I mean, the Glazers have taken United fans for the best part of 17 years. And it is fair to say that they take us for one last ride before they go. Hopefully they go, but it does look like they are taking us for one last piss take. Before they leave. I mean, they're like, no, what? Let's just ruin United one last time before we go. On our way out, let's make sure we just absolutely violate them and the fans one more time. And I, for one, I'm sick to death of the saga. I'm just done with it. Absolutely done with the saga as a whole. It's an absolute joke. You know, the manner in which it's been conducted is a joke. No one knows what's going on. The journalists are just chatting shit. They're claiming that they know what's going on. They have not got a Scooby-Doo. Shout out to United Way in the chat as always. Shout out to One Don MUFC, always showing love. God help Ten Hag with dismount. Shit, oh my god, 60 million, what the F is going off? We will trust that. We'll grant that shortly. The best transfer window for me will be getting rid of the Glazers. I mean, this is a fair point. I have actually gone on record to tweet this as well. Look, at the end of the day, short-term pain, long-term gain. That's the way I see it with the whole situation. I do think the next season is a write-off as it currently stands, but an absolute 360 turn of events in the sense that, you know, we get Qatar and, you know, they start to get the ball moving. No, there is still plenty of time. There's no mistake in that. But I just think for me, it's an extremely worrying sign as a Manchester United fan to be sat here looking at our rivals. Okay, granted, some of them made bizarre signings with our Havertz, so I don't know what's going on there, I suppose. But it's just very worrying to sit here and look at what the rivals are doing and the fact that we haven't even got owners, let alone even made moves within the window. I mean, the Mason Mount one does look apparent that it's going to happen, and that's not fair enough. It is what it is. I don't need to get into that too much detail just yet, but As of everything else, we're so far behind off the pitch. I mean, look at Man City. They've essentially got the conversation wrapped up. I think that's a done deal. And Gavridol is on his way. And this is off the back of them winning a treble. Yes, they have got a lot of outgoings and they have to do a lot of work. I understand that. But this is Manchester City have just won the treble. I mean, and they're already out here trying to improve their team for next season. Meanwhile, Manchester United are chasing after Mason Mount. No one actually knows where his best position is. And also, we haven't got owners to actually put in a structure and actually put in a plan of action because we haven't got any authority. That's looking after the club at the moment because the owners, the Glazers, why would they care? They're selling it, so why would they have any interest in looking out for Manchester United's best interest in this window? Because it doesn't affect them 2 months down the line, let alone here and now. So they have up to they have no intent to actually put a plan of action together. I mean, it seems like there's no one knows what's going on. Basically, I mean that is the crux of the situation. Absolutely clueless from top to bottom. Even the Manchester United app is absolutely washed. I mean that is just an indictment of their football club. I mean that's a bit of a side subject, but the whole situation is an absolute mess. I mean, where do you even start? Like, where do you actually start as a fan? That going into next season is looking extremely bleak. This is off the back of a season where we've just secured Champions League, finished third, and won a trophy. We should be going to this window with optimism. We should be going to this window with intentions to go one up ourselves on the back of this season, trying to improve ourselves. I mean, that comment regarding Ten Hag, regardless of Mason Mount or what, if he wants him or whatnot, it's not enough. We need like 3 or 4 signings minimum that come in and walk into the first team. I mean, Mason Mount, granted, very early in the window, he might be 1 or 4 signings come the end of the window, but the season is starting in 7 weeks, or 6 weeks probably when I'm recording this. Essentially 6 weeks in a couple of days, but pre-season starts in 2.5 weeks, lads. Pre-season starts in 2.5 weeks, and we do not have owners. We're going into a season where we don't have owners. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that. I mean, there's reports coming out that Manchester United's owners may come into play after the window is closed, meaning that granted, it's by the time the paperwork's done, essentially, we won't be able to have owners in place for this window, which, I mean, at this point, I don't really care because it's such a write-off. I mean, Ten Hag is going to do the job next season because there's no way he gets his team into the top 6 with the improvements that the other teams are making. You expect Liverpool to be better. You expect Chelsea with Poch to be better. Newcastle signing Tonali is a great signing for them, and this is only the beginning. They've got money to burn. They're going to get better. Tottenham is shit, so we don't really care for them. But the point being is we could be in a situation where we're looking at 6th spot and that being realistic. And for me, that's a massive failure. Going from 3rd to 6th is a failure. Ten Hag will be under a lot of pressure throughout the entirety of the season. He might never last the season. You know what the media is like. They're going to be on his neck from day dot. They're going to completely ignore the context in which that he's not even been dealt a hand in this scenario. Yes, people will say he's spent a lot of money in the past. Granted, he has, but what can you do? The squad needs a lot of surgery. I mean, Ryan said it perfectly a couple of years ago, open heart surgery, and that is extremely spot on from Ranić, and that is definitely the case. I mean, the only positives could be in the coming weeks is the fact that David De Gea could be on his way out. But even saying that, do you trust the club to buy an appropriate goalkeeper replacement? Probably not. I mean, they're probably going to buy Pickford. I mean, Lord have mercy, I'd rather keep David De Gea than bring Pickford in, T-Rex arms or whatever they call him. I do not want Pickford. I can't stand the guy. I just think he's an absolute freak of nature. I'm sure he's a lovely lad and he's a decent goalkeeper on his day, but Lord have mercy, we bring Pickford. I'd rather Henderson, Pickford, same shit, different bloody haircut. I mean, I do not want either of them at the club. But look, the point being is the Glazers have completely just violated our next season. I mean, the situation is looking very bleak. Let's get some of your comments in. What are the staff members doing in terms of transfers? Smash a like and subscribe to the channel. If you're tuning in right now, let's try and get to 10 likes. Obviously, if you watch this as a repeat, help brother get to at least 15 to 20 likes. I really do appreciate it. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you to everyone to help that got us past 1,500k. That's not right, is it? Yeah, 1,500. Yeah, 1,500K. That sounds right. 1,500 subscribers. So shout out to all of you lot. Keep spreading the word. I do appreciate it. Like I said, I'm trying my best to get content out regularly for you. Obviously, with work commitments, it's extremely difficult, but at least once a week. Now there's talk of Caicedo and dropping Mount. That's absolute waffle. No, not that you're waffling, but I do not believe that for that second. Mason Mount will be a Manchester United playing most likely. Hopefully I'm wrong. I don't want him personally, but it's what it is. Why are we so good at taking the fizz out every deal? Absolute professionals at doing that. Your thoughts on Mount being our first summer transfer? It's an L, but quite apparent. Ten Hag wants him. Ten Hag has gone extremely hard on Mason Mount. I mean, to be fair, they're backing him. They're buying players that he thinks will suit his system. So I have to go off that. I mean, I for one, I'm not happy with Mason Mount. I don't rate him personally. I don't rate him at all. Let's just hope Ten Hag can get the best out of him and hopefully get the Mason Mount that helped Chelsea win the Champions League. But the price tag, what I will say, is an absolute piss take, by the way. It's an absolute joke. The price tag is ridiculously high. I mean, the audacity that Chelsea are asking for more than 50 million for a guy that's got 1 year left on his contract. How does that make sense? How are they asking for 50 million? I don't understand. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous that they think they can get more than 50 million for Mason Mount, who's had an absolutely shocking season and 1 year left on his contract. I just think it's a joke. I mean, some of these transfers are absolutely laughable, and Mason Mount, the price tag is laughable. Jamie here in the chat saying nobody knows what's going on because we are too busy being bent over. Yeah, I'm not really the end of that, but he's absolutely spot on. Listen, it's absolute facts. Nobody knows what's going on with Manchester. I should really just proofread these before I put them on. But yeah, no one knows what's happening with Manchester United, as I've already alluded to. It's complete bullshit. I mean, there's a lot of in the nose on Twitter claiming that the deal's almost done, the X, Y, and Z. I mean, look, it could be done as soon as I come off air and I'm going to look like an absolute idiot. Fair enough. I'll happily look like an idiot if it means shit to see him is confirmed in the next 2 hours. But for me personally, I just think every single other passing week, it just takes a further step backwards. I mean, people will say I'm overreacting, people say I'm moaning, but you have to just look at the other clubs and understand that we are already behind these clubs. I mean, people will say, you finished third, you're ahead of X, Y, and Z. Yeah, we finished third. Liverpool was shambolic. They're only going to get better. They can't get worse, and neither can Chelsea. So that's two teams realistically that are only going to get better. And Liverpool, at the end of the day, didn't finish that far off us. Off the back of, let's be real, not a good season for them. I mean, Chelsea, again, they can only improve. Granted, is it going to be a big enough step from 12th? The top 4 race? I, for one, do think it will be. That doesn't make sense. I, for one, think it will be. That was shocking English, but I, for one, think it will be a massive step for them. They got Pochettino. They're playing 1 game a week. I think they're going to be a massive threat. What are Manchester United doing to counteract that? I mean, Arsenal are making bizarre signings, so I'm not really going to talk too much about them. But yeah, for me, it's a weird one. Look, I wanted Caicedo. I think the money spent on Mount should have been put towards Caicedo. We sell Scott McTominay or Fred. In my ideal scenario, both. That would probably generate at least another 50 million, 30 million for McTominay, at least, given the fact that he's on unbelievable form for Scotland. You can at least get 30 million for him. I would actually say 40 million personally with this window. But that being said, 40 million, 30 million for Scott, 20 million for Fred. That's 50 million there. 50 million what we're putting down for Mount. I mean, you could probably get Caicedo for like 80 to 85 million. Yes, that's a lot of money. But the guy looks like a top player. I mean, look, he could flop. I mean, a lot of the Brighton players that haven't got a good track record as of yet. A lot of the players that have left from Brighton and gone to other teams, so-called bigger teams, haven't done well. And Cucurella being the most notable one, Basuma as well, actually. Them two in particular haven't really made that step from Brighton and actually shown that they can go to the next level. So, and they were both flying at Brighton as well, may I add. So it will be interesting to see how Caicedo gets on depending on where he goes. I do think he'll end up at Chelsea, which is something I've said consistently. Even Declan Rice, I think it would be a better signing than Mason Mount, but that's my opinion. If you could, who would you swap Maguire with plus cash? Declan Rice. I mean, I think West Ham would probably be interested in bringing Maguire to to their club. As I would say, 60 million plus Maguire, that should do it. I mean, if they said that's not enough, It is what it is, but at least try. I mean, we need to get rid of Maguire ASAP. Rocky, Trossard has been decent. Oh, yes, of course. I forgot about Trossard. Yeah, he was from Brighton. He has been decent. That's correct. Mount, 350 grand a week. Rashford, we're done. That is not factual information at all. The Rashford one is, I think the Rashford might be 375, actually, which is ridiculous. I'll come on to that shortly. But I believe Mason Mount is, I hate 200 grand. Again, I'm not saying that's completely truth, but again, it's probably a bit too much, but it is what it is. It's just stupid in it in terms of from how we run the club from top to bottom. So it won't be surprising me if we're paying ridiculous amount for Mason Mount. But that's being said, the Marcus Rashford wages are absolutely ridiculous, 375 grand. But this is the bet that we made. Why is Sancho on 350 grand? I will never know. I mean, Rashford has to be on more than Sancho off the back of the season he's had. When you offer Sancho those stupid wages, you're gonna cause an issue. I know people will say Sancho wasn't the reason the wage structure is not, where it should be. I understand there's other players that have definitely ruined the wage structure before him. The Sanchez is of this world, but why did we offer Sancho more than 200k? I mean, even 200k is a lot. It should have been 150 to 175. I mean, that just goes to show how shit we are doing transfers. I mean, it's an absolute joke. Bro, relax, man. It's quite obvious just Seam has won from Ryan. Ryan, just shut up, bro. Honest to God, be quiet. You're moaning all the time about your players, man. You're constantly moaning about Liverpool, and you want and the transfer you're making. You want Man United fans to be happy with the fact that we haven't got new owners and it's 2 weeks until pre-season. Be quiet. If this was the other way around, you'd be crying. So don't even come in here with that energy, bro. Absolute waffle. I see you on Twitter moaning all the time about your players, so don't even come in with that energy. You'd be way worse than me. Anyways, make sure you slap a like, people. Keep slapping the like. I don't know how many likes we're on, but hopefully we're on 10 at least. What Don saying, people need to. Oh, actually, I should have read it before. Mount is good. We watch him. Yeah, he's absolutely dead. Yeah, Mount is dead. I'm not having this revisionism that Mount is also all of a sudden a really good player because he's coming to Man United. I'm gonna call it how it is. At the end of the day, I don't think he's good enough. Yes, Ten Hag probably got a plan for him. I hope it works because if it doesn't, we are stuck with his bum for a long, long time. Another English player that is massively overrated in my first opinion. But like I said, happy to have egg on my face because it means he's proved me wrong and it means he's flying. So that's the only thing that matters. But yeah, listen, the crux of the situation is the Glazers are stalling for as long as they can. For whatever reason, but they're essentially dragging their heels and making it a lot more difficult for Manchester United to have a successful transfer window. Yes, we can still do somewhat business, but the bigger picture is we are going to be struggling moving into the new season because we haven't got the business done in time. I mean, look, we want to place them for pre-season. You'll be looking to have Mason Mount for pre-season, let alone another 2-3 players. I mean, it's just an absolute joke. Oh, God. It's an absolute joke. Manchester United Football Club run by absolute clowns. What an absolute circus. Once again. Ah, dear Lord. What can you do, man? What can you actually do? It's just so deflating, isn't it? It's just so deflating. Just everyone I bump into on the street, like my neighbours and that are Man United fans, they're like, what is going on this, man? I'll be honest with you, lads. I don't know, man. It's just looking absolutely peak. And yeah, I'm just deflated. Hopefully this owner stuff gets sorted soon and then we can start seeing a bit of progress because at the moment it's really stifling our next summer window. So yeah, we'll see how we get on. We'll be back in the coming days, hopefully sometime next week, probably Monday most likely, to give you another recap. Hopefully we hear some news in the coming days. I will potentially be back tomorrow if something does break. But yeah, that side, make sure you get your comments in down below. Obviously, if you're watching this repeat, slap a like on the video. Zidane Iqbal sold for 850 grand. It's peak. It's peak, people. I'm devastated. Did we place a buyback on Zidane? We didn't. No, we didn't. James, thank you as always. Sorry, people. I'm in a really bad mood with the Man United stuff. I can't even sit here and pretend, man. I just can't do it. Oh God, I'm always so enthusiastic and upbeat and whatnot, but I really can't, man. This club is an absolute joke. Absolute joke from top to bottom. I could not wait for the day for the Glazers to piss off. I'm sorry to say it, but just go, man. Just leave. As Claude may rest in peace. Time to go on a level. just piss off so we can actually move forward as a football club. But yeah, I'm going to finish it there. Obviously, I will be back with any more transfer news if there's any. Like I said, Fulham are looking likely to get Fred. Hopefully that does go through. Manchester United don't overprice him. But for me, 20 million for Fred is more than enough. I don't understand what Fulham are talking about, saying he's not worth more than that. I mean, sorry, that's too much money. 20 million is an absolute bargain for a Brazilian international. Stop chatting and pay up, because every other club tries to rinse us, but when we try to get a decent amount of money, they're not interested. I'm not having it. If Fulham don't want him for 20 million, do not sell him. Do not go down to 15. I don't care. I just gotta dig our heels in the sand at some point, because teams are just taking us for mugs. But yeah, that's the overriding feeling. Manchester United in the mud currently. That is the conclusion. Hopefully, some positive news over the weekend, and I'll be back on Monday. If not tomorrow, something major breaks, of course. If not even on the weekend, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But as James saying, 30 million easy. Listen, be your boys, man. Thank you as always for everyone that tunes in. Slap a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you follow me on my socials, which is on the screen.